Coming up on this month's edition of The Pulse, we'll spotlight Humming for Bees, a grassroots, nonprofit organization dedicated to protecting bees and other pollinators.
It's god-awful for honeybees. All insects, and even birds and bats and other creatures are being impacted. It is not in good shape. Pesticides, in particular systemic pesticides. Those are the pesticides that affect the roots of the plant, the stem, the leaves, the pollen, and the nectar. I mean, the whole plant becomes a little poison factory. And when pollinators eat them or collect them and then take them back to their hives or to their brood, they're all impacted. If they don't kill them immediately, if it's not a real strong dose of systemics, then it's a slow death. It's called sublethal. That means maybe the bees can't forage, maybe they can't find their way back to the hive, maybe they can't do their waggle dance to tell where the other flowers are, a number of things like that. The other thing is not enough food. We need to plant flowers that bees like and have it for all 4 seasons. In my yard, I have plants for spring, summer, fall. The other thing is climate change. Good grief. We're affected. We see the storms. All of the insect world is affected also. And they're affected in another way, because when a certain flower doesn't come up at the same time as the bee that's evolving, then they miss their cycle, and that bee doesn't get the food that it needs and the nutrition. When we found out this information, we just thought we couldn't not act. We did get a resolution passed in our city of Shorewood. In fact, they were the first city in the state and probably the 3rd in the country. We don't get it for all the citizens, but what our city can do, and what they have been doing, is they've stopped using systemics in any plantings that they do around the city. Our city council had the courage to stand up and say, no, you're right, you've convinced us, this is important to do. There's a lot of things citizens can do, a lot. They can plant flowers that bees like and that are clean, and that's important. But even before that, I'd say call your legislature. And when I say call their legislatures, I don't mean the ones in Washington, D.C. right now. I'm talking about our state ones in the Capitol at St. Paul. In Shorewood here, we have a wonderful representative, Kelly Morrison. She is doing an excellent job of protecting pollinators. She was the chief author for the Lawn to Legumes bill, which has been very popular. It means homeowners can get help in planting more flowers for bees and helping them have more food. Everything you do matters. It doesn't matter how many there are. If there's just 1 or 2 of you, 3 of you, you can do something, you can have an impact.
I've always wanted to have honeybees to see what that was like. So I started doing that about 12 years ago. This is my 12th season of doing this. This year I have 3 hives up and running, and they're all new hives this year. The reason they're all new hives is the survival of honeybees in a given year is roughly around 50%. Now I started out with 2 hives. I'm actually running 3 hives because this season was unusual. We had very warm temperatures, and I had 1 hive accelerate and just create a whole lot of bees, and I needed to put them into another hive. So I had to bring in another queen to keep that hive going. So I'm running 3. That's unusual. If I get winter survival, I may be in trouble because I don't have enough equipment. But the way things are, climate-wise, environment-wise, I'll get 1 out of the 3 may survive. I think every season is different. Literally. You just don't know exactly what they're going to do or exactly how they're going to behave. Honeybees are unique in that they have a colony with very large numbers of bees. The native bees, and including that bumblebees, actually are in small numbers. There may be a little bit of a hive in the case of bumblebee, but many of the other bees, it's just several at the most, creating a little nest in the ground or in leaf litter, etc. In terms of pollination, the native bees are a factor in pollinating our food. They don't have the numbers that it works for commercial uses, but they do support pollination of commercial products. With the interest in healthier foods, getting food that is more local, that is part of our, as humans, our food web. And those food products out there, in general, require 30% or so pollination by natural or honeybee services. In addition to that, you have the wildlife chain, which, beginning with the insects and the critters that are in the ground, and it goes up through the birds. Birds are being as significantly affected by pesticides in our environment as are pollinators. There's a continuing flow of scientific papers that are all pointing to the situation with pesticides and the environment and the effects on pollinators as well as other animals. Politically, we need to keep trying and work on those issues at the state level to change the policy that reduces the pesticide load, especially systemics, in our environment. We're just a small organization, but we do have good information on our website, and we expect to keep that going. And other than that, people should just stay educated, keep learning.